Haileybury is the biggest school in Australia. We were recently named #1 co-educational school in the country. We were started by an entrepreneur almost 135 years ago, and that is in the DNA of who we are as a school. We realised many years ago that education was an inflection point and that we wanted to be ahead of the curve. That's why we started Haileybury Pangea, our online school, and started experimenting in digital and tech as part of the backbone of the school. AI, I guess, is the next frontier for us and how we can help our staff access things more readily to give them back capacity to do things that matter in the classroom. We have so many policies. It's a highly regulated industry, education. And so how can we help our staff access those things faster and safely? And accurately is really important to us.
One of the big challenges in education at the moment is the increasing administrative burden that teachers in particular face. And so any solution that we look at in terms of innovation or changing the way that we do things really needs to consider how we're going to try to lighten that burden. What was important to us about Hailey was that it wasn't going to be a new platform, a new system that people needed to understand. It was going to sit inside the environment that our staff are already comfortable with. So Hailey is a AI platform that enables our staff to interrogate our policy and procedure suite in natural language and to understand what policies and procedures might apply to particular activities or things that they're undertaking, regardless of whether that sits across multiple documents, multiple policies.
We wanted it to be a name that was gender neutral and approachable because we did want to kind of respond to the emotional reaction that people have with AI. We created it to be our safe space.
We had the idea to use AI across our policy suite. It was really the first sort of iteration thinking around that and in terms of what we might do internally. I had a chat with my colleague Faisal, who's the ICT director, and we started to talk about what solutions might look like. And he was aware of the work that Antares had done elsewhere in terms of building sort of solutions, AI solutions across internal suites of data and documentation. So there was sort of a natural alignment in terms of what we were trying to achieve and what Antares had already been successful in doing. We needed something that was going to be able to be very well defined in terms of its data set and its environment. We needed to know that whatever solution we found was going to be able to be well confined to current up-to-date policies and procedures. We'd identified that the Antares solution was going to be the right solution for that. The first use case that we identified for Antares for QBot was our Hailey AI Policy interface. We're a highly regulated industry. We have a really large amount of policies and procedures that we need staff to understand, perhaps multiple policies and procedures, and it becomes very difficult if you're just filtering through PDFs to try and understand what's applicable to what scenario, and Hailey really solves that problem for our staff.
At the moment, there's an opportunity to go into Hailey Policy and look at our school policies in a really easy to question way where we know that is going to point you in the right direction. And then we have Hailey GPT, which is our safe way for our staff to have access to a large language model that they can use within our environment, knowing that personal, private information doesn't leave Haileybury.
Being able to put together multiple bits of information and able to synthesize quite a lot of material. So everyday staff go ahead and they use it very much so in policy searching for curriculum management, but really being able just to synthesize lots of information and bring it all together in an easily digestible way.
When we look at AI and we look at those large language models and things like ChatGPT, a lot of the concern there was around our data and where that's actually going. So with Hailey, the great thing is that you don't have to double check and triple check any kind of prompts or student information that you're putting in, because obviously it's staying within those safe confines.
So AI is something that is constantly something we're discussing at school. But having that alternative gateway of more open development, that's been really good, because what's happened now is we're starting to get requests coming in saying we want to have this feature, we want to be able to use it for live meetings so that we can start getting information on what's happened in that live meeting, whether that's live meeting with parents and students or whether it's a department meeting. We want to take the cognitive load of having to run and be personable and have those relationships and having to make notes at the same time. That place that pulls together all the different sources of knowledge within the school in a way that is easily accessible and unified. And as we look at Hailey and what it can do, and then we look at our wider systems, we can see that pulling things together will really make a big difference in what we can do in the future.